On this episode of On Tap, Insight Brewing, where every beer has a unique story. And at Able Seedhouse Brewery, they're malting grains to make great beer. Plus, HopCat is a hot spot for craft beer. Welcome to another episode of On Tap. I'm Ben Hale. Today I'm in the heart of downtown Minneapolis. Just steps off the light rail, I'm here at HopCat, where they have more than 80 beers on tap, plus a delicious food menu with so many different options for you as well. Today I'm drinking Insight Brewing's Devil's Companion. It's their English-style porter, and Insight is actually the first brewery that we are going to feature on today's show. I had a chance to be there on their 3rd anniversary party, and I learned that at Insight, every beer has a story.
Well, our goal is to continually travel around the world and find new ideas. We learned that every region is slightly different. And by going out, you get to really gain the insight, which is why we have the name, to the world of beer. So our goal as a brewery is to gain the insight to the world of beer. So we're constantly finding new ingredients, recipes, and what we do with our branding is we have developed a mythical brewmaster, a bit more exciting than I am, to bring back legends from every country or region that we go to. So we could have, in Japan, for example, in reality, I got to have a yuzu tree in my backyard and I tasted it. It tasted really cool, like a mixture of orange and grapefruit. So we put it into beer. But what we do with our branding is our mythical brewmaster had to fend off a 50-foot ghost fire-breathing chicken to get to its hoard of yuzu fruit. And that's a real legend in Japan. So we take these legends from different regions and we put them into the beer so that we can tell a story as we bring the beers back.
We have a specific mechanical system built in British Columbia. It's a 30-barrel system, so we do 2 brews a day, so we brew 60 barrels a day. We've been going about 5 days a week, so that's 300 barrels a week. It's quite a lot of beer. We're up to 10 fermenters now, so we do have capacity for 600 barrels in our fermenters. When I started, we had 6 fermenters and 4 bright tanks. Now we're up to 10 fermenters and 4 bright tanks. We're getting 2 more within the next couple of months. Centrifuge is in the works. That's coming. That's really going to change the game too. When I started, there wasn't a pilot system, so we put in a new 1-barrel pilot system. That's been working fantastic. We got a couple new pieces on our canning line, so we now put dates and things on the bottom of cans. We can label multiple cans from start, so we can come up with a new seasonal, put a wrap on it, and just go. It's great.
The limitation right now is actually not on the brew house side, it's on the fermentation side. So that's where we keep adding more tanks so that we can keep brewing the worts, which is pre-beer, and keep throwing it into fermenters and turning it into beer. So right now we've got the capability, as of this moment, of brewing about 12,000 barrels annually. By January, because we're actually going through another expansion right now, we'll have the capability of brewing close to 18,000 barrels.
Trying to bring all these different styles of beer in from all over. But what do you feel like is, when someone comes in here, they're always going to be able to have this? Or like, what do you want your beer to always be for people?
We don't want to be known as a brewery that makes one style. Our whole idea is to bring different regions back. So for example, next year I'm looking at going to Germany and Peru. What am I going to find in Peru? I don't know yet. But we're looking at some different fruits that we can look at infusing into beers and what we can ferment out, how we can figure out all of these different things that exist there that just we don't get here. So I would hope that as people come here, we strive to make every beer the best that we can, but I want people to be able to get a different experience with different beers as they come. The biggest style of craft beer is IPA, and we have a lot of IPAs. And we find a lot of different ways of making them and having them be very differentiated from one another. So Trollway IPA is our best-selling beer. And that's something that has been here since day one, and it's probably going to be here on day 10,000. It's not going anywhere. We also have Sunken City, which is an idea that came from Belgium and France. So that's a Belgian Saison fermented with a little bit of Sauv Blanc wine grapes, which adds this kind of unique complexity to the beer. But that's something that was garnered from traveling amongst those two countries, walking on a vineyard and thinking, hey, this could work. So those are two beers that are here year-round, and we've got a couple more as well. The best thing I can say is we're constantly innovating. We're constantly coming up with new ideas and new beers, and the market is looking for new.
Multiple sours on the way out. We started doing some kettle sours, so I believe we have 3 different kettle sours in barrels right now. Some of them are sitting on smoked peaches. We have some sitting on ginger. There's some in there with sage. It's expanding.
We love to brew new. So we have our year-round beers, but we cycle through seasonals, we cycle through one-offs. We've got a large barrel program where we cycle through a lot of different sours and wild beers.
Tell me about Gravity Well. How did that beer come to be?
Gravity Well is this year, 12% Imperial Stout. And what we do a little bit different than everyone else is we age that beer a full year before we release it. It's kind of like a Cabernet. You don't see 2017 Cabernet out on the shelf right now. It's fermented, but it's not done. It's not ready. It's not complex enough.
So we make the base, the Gravity Well, the Imperial Stout, and I like to see how the wood character of multiple different types of barrels really adds and balances out that character. So, for instance, the rum barrel this year, the sweet cane sugar flavor that came out of that rum barrel really balanced out the bitterness of the Imperial Stout, and that's my favorite this year, personally. I really enjoyed blending our bourbon barrel-aged version this year. So we went through and we were taking 10 mils of each, and we really went through and went to where our palates said that beer should be, and turned out great.
So we actually have 5 varieties of Gravity Well out that we release always on our anniversary. And we've actually got a line of people outside waiting since 8 o'clock this morning.
I really like barrels, and to see to see the beer go in and it's silky and smooth and chocolatey, and then it comes out, all those characters are amplified. Plus, there's some deep vanilla or wood or sherry characters from the slight oxidation.
Every brewery makes different beer, but also every tap room has a slightly different feel to it. What do you hope people experience when they come in here?
We wanted different feels. So we've got booths, we've got couches, we've got high tops, low tops. We wanted to make sure people could see into the brewery and see that process that happens. It kind of makes it a bit more intimate and romantic when it comes to pouring that pint.
For me, it feels really inviting even with the size. Like, come in here, the taproom staff is really nice. The beers are on point. There's usually something on the menu that can hit everyone's palate. We have a non-alcoholic option if you want to come for that. It's warm, it's chill, it's open. It really flows on the vibe of who's here. You know, like if we're full, you can't really hear the music because everyone's just talking and it feels like a big German beer hall. If there's like 3 people at the bar, it's really conversation focused. You know, it can flow. It can accommodate parties, all sizes. It's really open. There's lots of good seating. So I really like hearing when I'm out and about when people are like, oh, you work at Insight? And then they're just gushing about it. And that still just strikes me every time. Like I really appreciate all that. So.
What do you enjoy most about what you do every day?
Being able to make something that you're passionate about is rare, and being able to start up a business that your employees are passionate about it too is even more rare.
It's the teamwork, it's the focus on the process, it's the beer that comes out of it, it's the respect for all the ingredients, it's everything that went into what we're doing right now. That's what excites me. Coming here and being able to give everything that I got and then taste what I've done, that's what it's like for me.
But when you get to see someone taste your beer and smile, that's the best feeling out there. And another example of this is you go out to a liquor store, and sometimes I might walk out, turn some of our cans, and I've had it every once in a while. Someone will walk up and say, "Ooh, there's insight," and you're the secret shopper to a degree. It's every time that happens, you get the shivers.
It's a feeling that I get that's not just about me, it's about everything that went into this. They wouldn't have had that good sip if the tap room wouldn't have served it to them well and been friendly. They wouldn't have had that good sip if the packaging system wouldn't have been running on point, if we wouldn't have been brewing well. None of that would have happened if this whole team would have came together. So when I see someone do that, it's just an acknowledgement of where we came from and where we're going. So it's awesome.
If people keep drinking our beer, we're going to keep brewing it. So I don't know how much people are going to drink. The market keeps changing. We're going to keep adding new styles of beer, and hopefully people keep staying excited about that.
Growth is looking nothing but up. And as long as we keep producing really good beer, I think the community is going to accept what we're doing.
I'm thrilled that people are excited to drink the beers that we're excited to brew.
Insight really knows how to throw a party. My goodness, that place was packed. It was awesome. I got to take home a couple of those bottles of Gravity Well, and I'm excited to age those in my cellar and open them up one day. Well, Able Seedhouse Brewery in Northeast Minneapolis is the first brewery in Minnesota to use its own malt in one of its beers. Danica recently had a chance to give them a visit.
When did you first have the idea that this was something you wanted to do?
I had the idea almost 5 or 6 years ago now, living in the Central Valley of California. And I was living in a real agronomic community, and I got to see firsthand how the community supported this agricultural region and the crops which they produce there. And that was super inspiring to me, knowing that I was going to move back to Minneapolis to try to connect a product back to the source in a way that they were doing in Northern California. So that was really the impetus of Able. That kind of started it all, and sort of literally and figuratively planted the seed of, well, I wonder if we could do this back home. I wonder if we could do this with Minnesota small grains. Really just tried to assemble the team that I thought was strong enough to execute on that idea.
It was like everything that he was talking about, what he wanted to do, and all these things that he was telling me about Able, was like, that's interesting, because that's what I would like to do for my own brewery as well. You know, it's
to say, can we grow a product, or can we source a raw material, small grains, Minnesota small grains? Can we process it in-house? Can we malt it here on premise in the seed house? And then can we get a portion of that malt or that grain into one or some or all of our beers? So that was really the three questions that we first kind of asked ourselves.
And what were the answers?
We don't know. We didn't know. We just had to go see if we could figure it out. I think we had a lot of blind optimism. There's a lot of ways to build a brewery. As you see here in Minnesota, there's I think over 100 breweries now. So there's a lot of ways to do this. And we could go figure that part out, but there wasn't really a way to figure out how to malt small grains, source small grains, because it hadn't been done in so long. We have one of the largest malt houses now in the world, located right in Shakopee. And so it was nice to have at least some access to that. But for the most part, there weren't a lot of people building small malt houses. They were building small breweries. So we had to figure out kind of how to do both, and we're still figuring it out.
What do you think about the idea of making your own malt? Like, that's not something that people are doing.
no, it's not something that people are doing, and that was one of the first things that really started clicking with me, and that's where I really started getting super interested in being part of Able. Because I've always really had a lot of appreciation for all those kind of farm breweries and the foraging type breweries, those sorts of things. And always having wanted to work with local farmers and showcase what Minnesota can do was very important to me. And so when Casey said that was what they wanted Able to be, was incredibly exciting, and I knew it was going to be an uphill battle because it's something that people haven't done for centuries basically. So
the process of malting is really pretty simple. It's adding moisture back into the grain. We're literally bringing it back to life. We're getting it to chit, to sprout and grow, and then we transfer it to a germination vessel, and it germinates for a period of time, and then we dry it with hot air and kiln it. So it's really moisture, germination, and then kilning.
Have you tried any grains that have gone terribly?
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing is a giant experiment in small malt, and in order to sort of see out that experiment, we have to do a lot of trial and error. So we've trialed a lot of small grains, and we've had some barley that was not awesome and didn't malt well, didn't perform well in the malt house. But the other side of that is that we've had some really beautiful rye that has malted really, really well and tastes great. In fact, the rye did so well, we just were able to brew our first beer with grain that we sourced, brought in-house, malted on premise, and brewed with it. So that was really exciting. We did it just before our second anniversary, so it took a while to figure it out. But right now, the best stuff that we have is our rye and our wheat malt. Initially, I was really kind of looking outside of Northeast Minneapolis to open the brewery. But we found this building, and we fell in love with the neighborhood and the community, and what was already happening in beer. And we just see it as a giant plus for all of us in the neighborhood. It is a destination, and people are coming to Able, and then they discover other breweries, or vice versa. They're going to Bauhaus, Indeed, or another brewery, and they just make laps between all of them, and they find us too. And so I think it really works both ways, but it's been nothing but a positive for us to be in this neighborhood for sure. This building is about a 10,000 square foot building, both tap room and production facility in the malt house. And it was built around 1919 as part of a light bulb manufacturing facility for General Electric. And so we were really fortunate to find this building. It's got a lot of unique characteristics to it. It allows itself to be both production and tap room, which I think is pretty unique.
So our brew house is a 20 barrel system, and it's just a 2-vessel system. So it's a very, very simple kind of brewing system. It's like more akin to like a single infusion, like English style system. It's just 2 vessels, and they're kind of multi-purpose for each of all the processes. That goes into a 40 barrel fermenter. So it means that every time I brew, I do 2 batches. So brew days take about 11, 12 hours, depending upon the beer, or longer, depending upon the beer. We're brewing about twice a week now. So 80 barrels a week basically is what we're brewing and packaging as well. One of the best things about this brewery is the fact that, I kind of came into it, Casey and the owners trusted me just from the get-go to design beers that were tasty. And, we make sometimes we do pilot batches so that we can kind of flesh out exactly how the balance is or showcasing flavors or something at that point. But for the most part, they let me run wild, and they don't even let me have to worry about any feedback, I guess. They just kind of like, let me do my thing, which is fun because that's one of the best parts about brewing, is that creative side. There's so much science already between, all the, pHs and chemistry that is involved and all sort of stuff in beer that, when you get to do the art side of it, it's pretty nice.
Right now we have our 4 sort of core lineup beers. We have our pale ale called Cosmic Fruit, our IPA called First Light, our stout Black Wolf, and our golden ale Supergiant.
Really, the gist of it was to make a wide range of beers. So from light to dark in color, from malty to not malty, from less hops to more hops, to all those sorts of in-betweens. So we had something maybe for everyone. And then really it was also too to kind of see what hit and what the market really wanted to kind of pull out.
First Light, the IPA, is our best-selling beer here in the tap room, at our on-premise accounts and our off-premise accounts now too, since we've been in the can.
So I know you said you didn't know what 2018 holds, but what would be some of your goals for 2018, 19? I don't know, are you a 5-year planner?
Right now, I don't have the 5-year plan. Like, I'm trying to get through the day some days. But I think the real short-term goals for us right now, without speaking in volumes of beer sold, is really to continue to engage with the community here in our tap room with the events that we put on here, to continue to flesh out the seed house and the malt house, and continue to malt more grains that we can get into some of our beers and create new beers with that malt. And then to continue to make new beers in new different packaging types is also super exciting for everybody here right now.
But just come in and have a good time, you know, because we have such a great neighborhood, great community. I feel like we have really great staff. Everybody's such nice people, and everybody is always so enthusiastic about being here to work. Everybody comes in, everybody seems to be having a great time, and it's like, yeah, come in and just enjoy it, you know. Take from it what you will. You know, we have a lot of different types of beers, so I know you'll find something you'll like.
We'd love people to come and experience the tap room. You know, we built this tap room in Northeast Minneapolis, in the Arts District, to be an expression of the things that we care about and value: the arts, the community, the people that live here and work here. A lot of the things that you see in this tap room were built by the local community, by the local arts community, our lighting, our seating, our bar. And so I think that can be a first good intro into Able and who we are and the things we care about and value, is coming to the tap room, checking it out, drinking some pints of beer, and then just sort of feeling what we've built here.
Thanks again to Casey and Bobby and the whole team at Able Seedhouse Brewery. You know, now I am switched up my beer because they have so many different options here at HopCat. I've moved on to a pale ale, and this one is from Baldman Brewing down in Eagan, Minnesota. HopCat, you know, they have fantastic food. We have a display of food in front of us now too, from their turkey burger, salad. This thing's just called the kitchen sink. And then these right here, crack fries. It's what they're known for, and they are fantastic. But really here at HopCat, they have one goal in mind, and that's to bring you great beer.
HopCat is a national chain beer bar. We have been rated the #1 beer bar in the United States the last 5 years in a row. We just kind of take that very seriously, and we will try to bring the best beer possible to the nation. So #1, we are a beer bar. So we have all different categories ranging from your lagers, lights, down to your porters, stouts, and everything in between. We do also offer a bunch of miscellaneous, crazy off-the-wall beers that you may not see at everyday tap. Then we go into our food. We've been rated #1 French fry out of a restaurant for the last 10 years now, and we take a very prideful on that one. We do have we're known for our crack fry seasoning. That's our #1 item here at HopCat. We do have other offerings like pizza, chicken nachos are my personal favorite as well. Just a lot of things that very complement the beer scene here. The main thing I look for is a nice local balance. We do offer a local 30 menu that changes once a year. The other 50 we have it's a rotational system. So you're going to be able to have your lights and lagers may stay on there for a couple days, but once that one is gone, a new one may come right back up. So we do a one and done system, providing a lot of hyper-rotative and seasonal selections as well. I do rotate the menu in with locals first, and then obviously have your nationals and your international import selections for you as well. So if you want to stick local, there's about 70 lines right now that you could go for that are local. And a few nationals and some authentic Belgians in there as well. The food menu is completely off the wall that you would have expected, but the overall food, everything is made here in-house. We take very good pride in how everything is created. and make sure everything is the top quality that goes as well with our beer as it does by itself. This location was created to have kind of a more Minneapolis theme to it. The room we're sitting in now is the Prince Room, kind of taking you back with some modern and also very old artwork and murals and stuff here as well. In the main room we have like a tribute to the Coen brothers. We got a large mural of basically every movie that they did as if they were all at a tiki bar. So it kind of has a cool atmosphere for that. Have a night of fun, beer, food, and a good ambiance. Minneapolis is turning into like one of the largest craft beer cities in the entire nation, and we're here to enforce that. By not carrying any macro distributors or any breweries like that, we kind of set ourselves apart from some of the other bars that are downtown. We are right between Target Field and the US Bank Stadium. Gives us a great location. We also have the Target Center for the Timberwolves games throughout the year as well. We're right on the light rail. We have a great network of transportation system here in the city. A lot of employees, a lot of workers really coming downtown. So HopCat's trying to bring the life back to the city. We've got a lot of crazy stuff coming up here in the future. We've got the Surly Bowl we just announced. That one's going to have 52 lines from Surly. That we have every anniversary beer, as well as 7 different variations of Surly Darkness. That includes the barrel age offerings as well. This has never been done before, so we're really excited to kind of bring some new stuff to the city.
So definitely make sure you swing in here to HopCat next time you're downtown, whether it be for an event or just for a night out. Come in here, have a pint, eat some crack fries. You will not be disappointed. All right, new segment on Tap. We're gonna do it every show from here on out. We're gonna teach you how to drink beer better.
For me, it's a bit more aesthetic with the pint glasses.
I mean, the glass does help, develop the flavors and the aromas of our beers.
I am a scientifically based person, and I can say yes, it does matter because we're human, mostly. There are some things that happen in glassware that can accentuate aromas. So if you have a tulip glass, you can concentrate the gases coming off, which are aromas.
It looks really cool, but it also sort of focuses the nose a little bit, which is really important because you really start to drink this beer with your eyes and your nose before it ever really hits your lips.
You do lose out if you drink it out of the can a little bit, because perception is, you do limit the perceptions that you get. If you can't see it, you've lost something. And I think it is important to be able to see your beer.
I think everybody could taste it because while we serve like our IPA in a standard pint glass, if we put that in the tulip glass, it's going to concentrate those aromas really heavily.
You've got certain styles of glassware that could be like a Kolsch or a Pilsner glass. It's a little bit taller, a little bit more narrow, so that there's less beer for the light to have to shine through, and it makes it look lighter. Doesn't change the flavor, but it does affect our perception of that beer.
Well, we love that one for the size and the volume and the shape, especially with the bourbon barrel, that little wine glass one.
The fact that it's stemless is nice because then while you're holding it, the beer warms up, which develops other flavors as well and kind of helps give a really good kind of round drinking experience. So you're just kind of that whole gamut of flavors and aromas. It's pretty cool.
But at the end of the day, we're all human and we like what looks nice. So I still pay attention to that. If we're pouring an Imperial Stout, I'm not throwing it into a normal pint glass. I'm certainly throwing that into a stemmed glass because you get that experience with the beer.
There you go, glassware. I think it matters. Get those delicious smells no matter what glass you're drinking out of. Make sure it's a good beer. All right, once again, thanks to Able, thanks to Insight, thanks to HopCat. It's been another great episode of On Tap, and thank you for watching. Remember, drink good beer and drink it responsibly. Cheers.